I often get asked, what do I mean by changemakers? There are two ways of thinking about changemakers. There's little c changemakers, and this really is everyone. Everyone can be a little c changemaker. Everyone is a little c changemaker. From the time we are conceived and born into our families, we are changing our parents' world. And the bigger we grow, the more change we are making in the world just by our presence, just by being on the earth, doing what we do, playing what we play, learning what we learn, sharing what we share. The bigger we get, the more opportunity we have to be change makers and the more impact we have on those around us. But we are still maybe only little c change makers. Big C change makers are something else entirely. By the time we get to be toddlers, we start to understand our power, right? We start to understand our power. And change makers understand their power and influence in the world. Now, if we get to be around middle school, sometimes we lose that feeling of power in our society, especially if we're little girls or people of color. But if we're lucky, someone comes along and tells us that we can be a big C change maker. And that's when we feel we get our power back. That's when we start to work with others to make a difference in the world. And that frown changes into a smile. And if we're really fortunate and we really stay in our power and we really work with people different from ourselves, then even as adults, we can become very strong and powerful and influential just by the way we show up in the world, just by the things we choose to work on in the world. In that way, we create a bright, bright change-maker's life. So that's how I define change makers. Change makers are people that know their power, they live in their power, they share their power, they work with others for good in the world. That's a big C change maker. And everybody can be one of those if they just know how. I'm Patty Talbot. I'm always learning, and I'll bet you are too.